Demonstrations of 8 different missile systems were slated for presentation during the following 2 hours of the President's visit. The President and his party arrived first at Army Launch Area number 1. The initial demonstration was of the Army's highly reliable Honest John rocket, originally proved at White Sands and now emplaced throughout the free world. This rugged and simply constructed rocket can be fitted with various types of warheads, including nuclear ones. In today's firing, a warhead containing white phosphorus was to be tested as a part of the program for continuing improvement of the system. Before the actual firing, the presidential party was briefed on the nature of the weapon system and the purpose of the test. As usual, Honest John was on target. Almost immediately, the next missile was towed before the viewing stand. This was Little John, a light, readily mobile, free-flight rocket designed primarily for use of airborne troops. In fact, the Little John missile to be fired was flown in, rapidly unloaded, moved to the firing site, and quickly emplaced. Here was graphic proof of how well this weapon fulfills its intended purpose. Next in line, the Army Hawk, compact package of lethal lightning. A briefing officer explained how the Hawk system spells death for low-flying attacking aircraft. The Army Sergeant surface-to-surface guided missile was the last weapon to be tested at Launch Area number 1. This largely automatic missile system, employing a highly effective solid propellant motor, is now replacing the Corporal missile in the field. In only a few minutes, the presidential party arrived at Launch Area number 2, where 4 missile systems were scheduled for demonstration and test firing. An Army Nike Hercules was to go against a target of equal power and speed, another Nike Hercules missile. The distinguished visitors were briefed on the general plan of the test. Displayed next was the Pershing ballistic missile, one of the newer weapons in the Army's modern arsenal. Field artillery troops demonstrated the speed with which this large, high-powered missile can be made ready for firing under tactical-type conditions. A number of Pershing missiles, now in the final stages of testing, will soon be fired from off-range sites for impact within the boundaries of White Sands Missile Range. Next, the U.S. Navy test-fired the ship-to-air Talos guided missile. Last to be demonstrated was the Army's Nike Zeus, the nation's only anti-missile missile under advanced development. At this point, representatives of firing units from Fort Sill, Fort Bliss, and White Sands marched to the front of the viewing stand. Major E.V. Creel, Fort Sill, greeted the President and presented to him a scale model of the Sergeant missile, the weapon these troops have been trained to use anywhere at any time it may be needed. Among the viewers present were such dignitaries as Senators Meacham, Russell, Thurmond, and Yarborough, Congressman Foreman, Hollifield, Montoya, Morris, Rostenkowski, Secretary of the Army Vance, Secretary of the Navy Cort, Governor Campbell of New Mexico, and Generals Wheeler, Adams, Jark, and Ryan. Vice President Johnson was presented a plaque from the Army's 1st Pershing Battalion. Before departing for the next stop on his itinerary, the President expressed his thanks to the troops who had conducted the demonstrations. These men had successfully fired 7 missiles in rapid succession. Their Commander-in-Chief seemed pleased. 5 June 1963 was a significant day in the history of White Sands Missile Range, where so much of modern technological progress has been made. This was the first time a president had honored the installation with a visit. His presence, that of the Vice President and the other distinguished visitors, inspired the personnel of White Sands to even greater efforts in the future in carrying out a mission vital to our country's security.